I thought I would come on and give an update since I got, since I haven't, you know, talked to you guys in a while. It's June 15th, so it's been a little bit. Some stuff has happened, so I'll let you guys know what's happening. Oh, I'm wearing my cleaning apron. Let me take that shit off. Okay, so, where to begin? I guess I did tell Devin. I told him yesterday. Does he know what's happening? Like, really? I don't think so. I did tell him that it was cancer. I guess the talk went, God. It went along the lines of that, I've been going to see doctors, and he says, yeah. And, I told him that, well, we found that there's, because it was so spontaneous. It just felt like I feel like I'm like hiding behind closed doors. I don't have that kind of relationship with my son. I'm very open with him. And he's 8. I have to keep that in mind. But, you know, I told him that, well, they found something, and kind of explaining how the building blocks of your body are kind of like Legos. And, but really tiny Legos. And my Legos are just growing funny. And, so the doctors want to, you know, test it to see what's happening. And that's called cancer. And, and then once I said that, I don't think I knew what to do, because I don't really know if I was gonna go that route. But sometimes when I'm in the moment, I'm very honest. It bothers me. I don't think he got it. He's 8. But then I was like, but you know, I'm fine. I feel fine. I was like, I'm just a little thirsty right now. Let's get some water, cause change the subject. And he's like, I'll get you water, Mom, because you have cancer. So there's that. But I guess I should start at the beginning. So I got a pap smear about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and it came back abnormal. It said that I have HPV 16. So anybody I've ever slept with, I'm sorry. Get yourself checked out, get your partners checked out. One of you gave it to me, I bestowed it to everybody else. I have no idea. I guess it can, you know, stay in your body. Your body takes care of it until it doesn't, and then you find out you have it. So, sorry. Other than that, so they also found abnormal cells on top of that in the pap smear. They wanted me to go get something called a colposcopy, which is a biopsy. I had the worst experience with my doctor during this visit. First of all, I get taken just directly back into the room, and I'm sitting in the room, and then, you know, after a little bit, my doctor comes in, and she's like, oh, you're not dressed? Okay, here's this, get dressed. She doesn't fucking leave. I'm not vocal enough to be like, can I have privacy? And so no, I did it right there in front of this lady. I have no idea if she had her back turned to me or anything, because I was so nervous that this was happening. I get on the table, I don't even know. There wasn't a girl in there at the time. I think she said, you know, let me go get her real quick. She comes in, and she has her stuff. She gets the speculum and she just shoves it inside me. So much so that my vagina squeaked. It's like, I audibly hear this. I'm like, ouch. And then she's just yanking around, and I'm pretty sure I said ouch. I said ouch a lot during this entire thing. The way that she was manipulating me, the fact that there was no fucking lube at all in my tight little vagina was very painful. And it's not like I was like worked up to like make my own. And I had like cleaned myself very well earlier that day, you know, and so it was quite dry. And I'm old, so I'm rambling. And then as she's inside me, she's like, when was your last menstrual period? And I'm like, I have no idea. No, she asked the technician, when was her last menstrual period? And she's like, I don't know. And then she's like, well, what was her blood pressure? And the tech's like, I don't know. And then she's like, why don't you know? Like, you're supposed to take vitals. And then she's like, I just brought her directly into the room. And then she's like, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be taking vitals before they come into the room. Keep in mind, this is while she's got the speculum in my vagina. She just has it in there, and she's like blah 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 to this technician that I'm like looking at. In my brain, I'm getting secondhand embarrassment like for the entire situation, because I can like pick up on that shit. Like, empathy is a curse. There's the mailman. Hold on. Okay, so let's continue. Then she decides to, she washes, and that was like cold, and then she's like, okay, I'm gonna take a biopsy, and she takes a biopsy, and I swear to Bob, it felt like she was like collecting it like this, like digging at it. It wasn't like a blop and a blop. It felt like she was like like, so I could physically feel my fucking body move as she's digging this sample out. And I'm still like, it's okay, she's just gonna like fucking blah blah blah. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, and not to mention, in this appointment before I got dressed, that's when she asked me, she had told me that this is when I had a high grade amount of abnormal cells in the colposcopy appointment. I just don't fucking like this doctor. I don't fucking like this doctor. I'm so scared for like what she's doing to other women. If she's doing this shit to other women, I'm terrified, because here comes more. I leave the appointment. I'm sitting in my car because I'm wanting to tell my mom, you know, how it went. And then I get a call from the doctor directly, and she's like, are you still here? Can you come back? And, oh yeah, they did grab my vitals on the way out. Excuse me. And then, I'm like, yeah, sure, thinking, you know, something else, like she saw something, or I don't know. And then she's like, oh, can you sign this consent form for the colposcopy? So I'm like, oh, okay, sure. So all of that just felt really bad. And then they set an appointment for me in the office for a televisit, because they said we'll do a televisit next week, hopefully, to go over the results. For that appointment time, the results weren't ready, so they made another appointment for like the following week. Nope, I'm sorry, that was the week that my doctor went on vacation. So I waited a week to not get results, then I had to wait another week for her to get back on vacation, and then the day that I was supposed to have my results in, they're like, can you come in and speak with us and have the appointment here in the office? And I said, that's not possible. I'm watching, you know, a house full of kids. But at this time, I had seen the results on the lab results. And so I had informed them that I had already seen the results and that I was okay, because I felt like that was important to let them know that I was okay. Didn't fucking matter to them. And that the televisit was fine. So she informs the doctor's like, okay, that's fine. So then we do the televisit for my results of the colposcopy, and it lasted 15 minutes. 4 minutes and like 20 seconds, because I audio recorded this shit. I have every right to fucking do that, and so I did. And because I wanted to remember the information that I was about to get. I know that the information said that I had squamous cell carcinoma in my cervix. I know what it said. I know that it said that I had high-grade dysplasia all over the place, honestly. And so that wasn't, good news. Immediately, she's like, okay, so I know that you saw the results. Okay, so you have a high amount of precancerous cells, and if we catch it now, or since we caught it now, and if we deal with it now with a thing called a LEEP, then, we'll be fine. And the LEEP is I can't do it here because I don't have the equipment, so you're going to have to go to this other place and we'll set up the appointment with you. And so I said, okay, but the lab results says that I have, it said that there's dysplasia, and then it also says that it has carcinoma. And she says, yes, it does. And then so I'm like, okay, like what the fuck does that mean? I'll have to review the audio to like re-remember, but she spent 4 minutes just telling me that I saw the results, that it was, and it was just the 4 initial minutes, and then it was 10 minutes of getting my appointment over next to the other place. When I'm on the phone, and I'm still trying to like get clarification from her, so is this cancer? And she just keeps saying like a vague answer like, yes, dysplasia is cancer, or dysplasia is, this is precancer. She kept stating that it was precancerous, and I'm just like I'm like, okay, so then, yeah, let's do the fucking procedure. And she had mentioned to me, she's like, I'm thinking maybe it'll probably be like in June, and this was in May at the time, and it was actually supposed to be done today. I was supposed to go get it done today, which I'm not getting it done by them. And then so, I'm full-fledged in my period right now. I had told the person that had initially called me, she had asked, like, how are you doing? When was your last, like, menstrual cycle? Kind of like your average questions that you would get in a doctor's appointment. So I had, given that information already. The doctor then informs me, that the other place will call me, the other clinic will call me and schedule the appointment. I just asked for the information so I could save it into my phone, because my phone will reject any numbers that I don't know because of scamming and, political shit and stuff I don't want that I get skipped on. So I inform her of that, and she's like, well, just hold on, we'll go make the appointment right now. So she comes back and she's like, you've got these times, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, let's do the early one. And then I'm like, and what day? And she's like, tomorrow. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. So, okay. And then she's like, and you can go research this if you'd like. It's called LEEP, and it's LEEP, and it's tomorrow. So you research it, but it's tomorrow. Like, what the fuck? So I get off the phone with her, and I go talk to my mom and my sister, and I'm telling them, they're like, okay, cool, like, let's get it taken out. And then I'm like, oh shit, like, I'm in my period. And so I call the clinic, and I'm like, can I do this on my period? And they're like, no, not at all, like, that's gonna be way bloody and blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's what I thought. I mean, I told my doctor I was on my period, but it's fine, how funny. So I cancel it, and they tell me to call back when I'm not on my period, and I say okay. So in the meantime, I have a week because I had just started my period yesterday. My period is legit a week. I've got like, 6 of those days left to do some fucking research. So, doing research because I was wanting the verification of what I saw in the lab results before I started changing my life drastically, and I didn't fucking get any of that. I had already kind of started doing some stuff when I had initially found the results, like just researching in general, like what the fuck is this shit, and it's not all good stuff, and a lot of it is experimental, or it's really poisoning, or it's naturalist shit, but all of cervical cancer is just terrible. The rates of you having cancer again so high, and because the cancer's already in your body. So I'm already thinking about all of this going into this appointment, because my diagnosis says that I have carcinoma, that there is at least superficially invasive squamous cell carcinoma, in addition to having high grade dysplasia in my cervix and my cervix, which is like your endo whatever, which is the tube like connecting your outer cervix to your uterus. So it's in there. Awesome. I had 6 days. I had 6 days until my period was over to even like think about rescheduling, because I wasn't going to do it until afterwards. I understood that this shit took years to even get to this point. I have time. Even if it's like, okay, so this is how I think about it. If I caught it early, it still took years to get to this point. If it's really aggressive, what the fuck am I going to do about that? If it's really aggressive, I'm not doing chemotherapy and radiation. I'm not doing that. I'm not. So I'm just going to drastically change my life. So I decided that doing a lot of research, me and my sister, we've been dealing with, my sister's been dealing with my dad, along with my stepmom, and not dealing with my dad, just helping him, giving him lots of information, trying to support him in any way that he needs. She's fucking amazing. That's why I was really worried about her when I'm like, oh shit, like she's gonna go crazy, because that's just how she is. She's all in. She's all in. She's always been all in. So, I found out that my old doctor, Dr. M, we'll just call him Dr. M. Okay, so I got Dr. A, which is my first doctor, hater. Dr. M was my old doctor, found him, and he could accept me again because of insurance changes. Thank God. Thank God. And literally the only reason why I did not have him is because my insurance wasn't accepted any longer. And so then life happened, and then I was like, hey, I should probably get a pap smear. It's been like, I don't even know. So there's that. And then I've done research on natural medicine doctors, naturalist doctors. So I looked up an NMD in my area and got a consultation with him. And that's Dr. V. So just trying to do my due diligence because I don't want to die. And I want to not die. So I have the appointment with the naturalist doctor, and he advised doing he's like, you're going to have the procedure more than likely after you get a second opinion, because I already told him I did not like this other doctor. He recommended, finding a gynecologist I trusted. That's how I even went this route, because of this man. Thank goodness for him. And then he's like, you should also go into your first doctor and go in there with humility and kindness, because doctors respond to that, and just try to gather as much information that you can, knowing in the back of your brain that you're getting all of this to fucking legit. You're not going to stay with her, but you need to get as much information as you can. So I decided to do that as well. And then he's like, and then if you choose to support, you know, your treatment with holistic or with naturalist medicine, you know, I can do that in conjunction with your, or, you know, like working together with conventional medicine. So I really appreciated all of this information. It was wonderful. But, you know, he was like, I can't do any of that stuff directly, like the cervical cancer stuff. Like that would have to be done, and then, you know, he helps support the body and blah, blah, blah. So I made a second opinion appointment with Dr. M. I called Dr. A's office wanting to go over the biopsy results with her again because I haven't had the LEEP done, and I wanted to just speak with her about it. So the day of the appointment with her, she walks in and she's like, "What's up? I thought you already had the procedure done." And I'm like, "No." And I left a message with her right after I had gotten the information that they wouldn't let me do it because I was full-fledged in my period and that I would have to reschedule. And then she's like, "Well, you need to reschedule like right now." And then so I'm like, "Well, okay, hold on. Like I have some questions." And so I basically just wanted to get the information from her. She still did not fucking like tell me anything. It was so discouraging. Very discouraging. Very discouraging. She basically just told me the same thing. She's like, you need to go get this done because you have these, you have dysplasia, and let me just inform you, you know, the stages of this. She drew, you know, your cervix is a donut, and what they wanted the LEEP will do is take the center out because that's where most of the dysplasia and precancer cells can be, and I need to get that done. So I said, okay, but I really just want to know, like, what you saw. Like, what did you see? Because I'll be honest with you, you don't have a poker face, and as soon as you went down there, you were like, when was your last period? And then, you know, subsequently reprimanded your technician while your hands were in my vagina. Super comfortable. Didn't tell her that shit, but that's happening in my brain. So then she's like, I don't know what I saw, honestly. When we're down there, it's, you know, microscopic, and with the vinegar wash, I just see what's, you know, it's just looks suspicious, and I took that biopsy. You remember, I took that biopsy and we sent it off, and it came back that you have dysplasia, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see that, but it also said squamous cell carcinoma on it, and she's like, yes, the stages of this goes to abnormal, and then you have what we call a SIN, and that's something, I don't even know what the fuck she said, but she's like, and this is in stages 1, 2, and 3, and this is precancer, and this is where you are on there, and then it goes to cancer. And I was like, okay, so then why does it say, you know, I'm trying to like, why do you keep saying precancer? Why would it say carcinoma? And she says, oh, well, dysplasia is cancer. It is that. I don't even, or it is a form of carcinoma. I don't even know. I'm trying to not freak out and yell at this woman because I really need as much information as I can get from her. Because, yes, and she's still not fucking saying you have cancer. So, I feel gaslit like a motherfucker. My trust in this woman is zero. And, just a horrible situation. Like, I can read. I actually, and if she would know, if she ever fucking cared to ask, like, any history at all, like, I'm literally a new client of hers. She's never asked me any fucking history at all, other than when my period is while she's fucking in me. That's the only question she's ever asked me about my history. Ever. She's never asked me how many pregnancies I have. She's never asked me how many miscarriages I had. You know, none of that. She doesn't know anything. And I've never had a doctor be so blatantly, like, not thorough. So I gather the non-information, and then I decide, I go and I print off my lab results and my previous pap smears, because I've got all of that information on there. My pap smear that I got from her, all of my lab results. I just print all of those off from 17 to now, and I take them with me to my appointment and with Dr. M. And I go in and they take a urine sample, and then they take my vitals, and then they ask me why I'm here, and then I tell them yes, and I have some lab stuff, and she's like, okay, just hold on to that. And then even just being in there, and like, you could tell these people like care about their jobs. And I guess the other clinic that I went to was it's like a big group, and maybe it's where they send people who, I don't fucking know. Nobody cared about me in there besides my first doctor, Dr. K. I fucking fell in love with her, and then she moved to a different clinic. So that sucked. There are good doctors out there. I just did not know that there were really bad doctors out there. Really bad doctors. I didn't think I would experience, well, I've experienced them with my daughter. But I was vocal with my daughter. Like, you can do that. It's so hard doing it for yourself. It's so hard doing it for yourself. So I'm in there. I'm nervous. And he comes in and he takes my lab results, and we're chatting, and he's like asking like, so what's happening? So you have dysplasia and maybe and stuff, and I don't exactly remember what he says, but I was like, yeah, you know, this is technically like a second opinion. I don't like my other doctor. I feel like, you know, I'm not getting the information that I need. And then so he's reading it, and he's reading my old pap smear, and he's like, oh, this one's good. 2017, okay. And then he looks at my lab results, and he's like, okay. So he sees the HPV result and the abnormal, and he's like, oh, okay, well, you might not have cancer. And I'm like, oh no, like I did a colposcopy, and that's right under there. And he's like, okay, I'll get there. And he's reading still the pap, and then he goes to the next, and he's like, okay, so what we're going to talk about first is we'll talk about the abnormal cells, and then we're going to talk about the cervical cancer. And I'm like, oh my God, it says, so I have cancer. And he's like, yeah, it says it right here. And I'm like, thank you. Like, I literally said all of this in the office. I'm like, thank you. Like, my last doctor just kept telling me I had precancerous cells. And I even confronted her about it saying carcinoma, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, this says carcinoma. And I'm like, I know. The amount of relief I had just having confirmation that I wasn't fucking crazy was amazing. Like, you have no idea. Just knowing that I was believed, because this doctor was gaslighting me. I just don't understand that. I don't understand that. And I'm not, maybe she's trying to save my feelings. That's not your responsibility. That's not your responsibility. I want my information. So he then starts talking to me about, he's like, okay, so we have a diagnosis for carcinoma. Like, we actually spoke about what the plan would be, and he's like, I could do the things for you, but since you already have the diagnosis of that, we're going to go ahead and refer you to a gynecology oncologist. Already another weight lifted off. Like, I'm being taken seriously. I'm being taken seriously. And he was explaining to me that they're going to want to do a leap, and he's like, basically it's just a larger biopsy, and we're going to get a larger picture on what's happening, because it does say that it is at least this deep, and that would mean that they couldn't tell, you know, which direction it was. Like, the whole chunk must have been cancer. And so then he was informing me, you know, that they would do the leap, and because I already have the dysplasia and stuff in my tube area, the endocervix, I forget what it's called, and that they would take a biopsy of that also, and they would mark which one is closest to the uterus to let them know, like, that should be the clean edges. He gave me a little diagram, which I appreciated. I also know already what he's talking about because I'd been doing my research for a while. But, so we have, here, let me just draw a little cervix. And then your vagina. Okay, so here is your cervix, your vagina tube, your uterus. This is that like little straw thing, and then your ovaries. Proportionally correct, of course. So basically, when you do a pap smear, come here, little carrot. They go in there with like a triangle thing and they swirl it. And then, so that's getting cells from up here and then also around the cervix area. So that's how they knew that my shit was abnormal, like all over the place. And then the colposcopy, she took samples from, she told me, like in the middle, because that's where they typically are found, the abnormal shit. So he told me that the LEEP would, there's two different hot-ass wires, because it's going to cauterize it as it goes. One looks like this, and that's the larger one. Boop. See if it'll get it to focus. There we go. The larger one. And then you have another one that's like, you know, smaller and skinnier. So this one would go and it would basically just, you know, cut off the outer whatever, you know, of the uterus, of the cervix. Just take off like the top of it with this large broad one. You know, it's still shaving off like the middle area. And then they would take this one, because we already know that I've got shit a brewing. And they would take it and they would take bloop, 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 you know, a sample like so inside. He was informing me these are very small samples, but they're larger than a colposcopy. And then at the end, they would do a pap smear again. At the past all of that, then they would do a pap smear up here. And he informed me this is just like a LEEP is like a larger biopsy. In some cases, it can cure you. But in some cases, it'll show us what's happening deeper. So I got to ask him, I'm like, I'm concerned, you know, that we found it very late. That somewhere else I've read that it can jump, like you can get clean margins, but you'll find it, you know, in your uterus or in your bowel or shit like that. I told this to my first doctor and she told me, it doesn't grow like that. It doesn't spread. This cancer doesn't spread like that. This is a localized disease. And in my brain, I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? This shit can metastasize if I leave it long enough. What the fuck is this lady talking about? So this doctor, Dr. M, informed me, he's like, yeah, and that's called a skip lesion. He's like, but it's a very small, like, healthy, it's not like, you know, here it is and then it's like, boom, boom, over there. It's more like you'll have a gap of healthy in between, so when you get your biopsy, you might have clean margins, you know, but like 2 millimeters past that is a whole other fucking lesion that you're getting. So he said that is the purpose of getting the pap smear past all of this shit that we're seeing, is to collect more cells, you know, before chopping shit off. I felt very confident in Dr. M. I felt very confident in him. And just this conversation, just this was 40 minutes of that man's time. Just him explaining, him personally being in that room with me, he gave me 40 minutes of his time. I felt so confident. I felt a lot better. I felt a lot safer. I felt safer. I actually haven't cried. I think I've cried once. So that came out of nowhere. Oh look, I actually have a tissue. Oh, hi Puma. So, leaving there, they sent the oncologist, Dr. L, my information, and I actually received a phone call from them informing me that they had gotten the information and that they are just requesting some more things like blood work and imaging from Dr. M, which he doesn't have. I've never had that done, so I'll probably have to get that done. And then once they get that information, they'll evaluate my stuff, and then, you know, we'll start getting appointments and things in order. I really do appreciate being taken seriously. I appreciate not being gaslit. I can fucking read. And I have history in medicine, animal, and fucking even human. So I'm not an ignorant bitch. And I don't even know if I should. I feel like I should like do a complaint on Dr. A, because I feel like she didn't tell me the right thing. She kept telling me pre-cancer, pre-cancer. Just having to undress with her in the room, the unprofessionalism of the entire situation. I am one to like give people the benefit of the doubt. It was honestly the phone call that killed it. I'm like, wow, she's just really shitty, like all around, because I was like, people have bad days when I was getting the colposcopy. That whole fucking situation I forgave in the back of my brain until I got a fucking phone call where she didn't tell me shit. She did not inform me of the truth. And that's where I'm at now. Basically, I have to look out for stuff because cancer's in my body now, and the chances of reoccurrence are really high, even though if they tell you you're gonna be fine. No, bitch, that shit lives in you now. It lives in you now. I'll be dealing with this forever. We have to have pets. We have to have pets now. This is Puma. And he has to have pets now. Probably because I was crying. Ooh. So I'm eating a lot of raw vegetables and fruit. Eating salads. I'm eating a cat hair. I can't touch my mouth with my hands because... Okay, I gotta get it out. I love you so much, Puma. I'm trying to follow a more holistic diet so I can reduce the inflammation in my body so that I can give it a chance to fight it, because your body can take care of dysplasia if it's a healthy environment. Mine obviously is not. It's just running rampant and making friends, and now I'm immortal because I've got cancer. So this is how my villain origin starts. Hot. I gotta get out of this room. But I'll keep you guys updated after my oncologist appointment. Bye.